Seth Ferguson pulled off the biggest event in Canada. It's truly inspirational.
You've already put the time, the effort, the sweat, the blood, the tears into making this content. This is the type of impact.
Is everybody ready to make some money? Woo!
And Seth was absolutely right when he said, thought leaders, and it's been a really powerful couple of days.
I admire Seth's passion and willingness to help and share what he's actually using.
I know that the people that he surrounds himself with are strong, so his network can support me.
Seth is a very inspiring person to look up to.
I really came to kind of capitalize on my skill set of raising capital. I think Seth really did a good job. I think he gave away so much intellectual property that he uses in his business, right? I've been watching Seth. I think he's a really good operator. He knows what he's doing. He's built a great team. And, I've been to the multi-family conference here too, so I think he's consistent with what he's doing. And, some of that stuff I'm looking forward to, applying it right away on Monday.
I've never thought I would get to this point, and this is just the beginning. And I do really appreciate, your ongoing support with the calls and the community that you've introduced me to, because I really do appreciate you as a mentor and now friend.
So I found Seth's contributions so valuable, a lot of information into key actionable points. So he was able to tailor various approaches. And the good thing is he interacted a lot with the audience. He would flip the approach to make sure that was applicable to everyone, get a lot of value out of his content, and I really appreciated that.
Seth's session really showed me how you can really automate the capital raising process. He's got a very, very great system in place with all of his sales reps, and he just really turned the art of raising capital actually into a science. Props for having built that machine. It's quite impressive. So a lot of things I learned yesterday I'm going to implement in my own business starting immediately. Seth Ferguson is an extremely beautiful man. Respect for Seth. What I like about Seth, this guy had a vision, decided to take a stab at something in not a great economy and a great time, but he had a vision and it worked. And now he's creating the following. Takes a goal and makes it happen. And that's what Seth Ferguson does.
Thank you for creating such a great opportunity here, because without you, didn't know where I could go. On the day one, Seth mentioned about the how to approach investors, just to have a friendly conversation, get to know just you're earning a friend in life. And that's the amazing thing that Seth had mentioned yesterday.
And just looking at his team, you could tell that everyone's inspired by Seth. It really feels like the sky's the limit. I can't even imagine what Seth has in store next year.
Good. Good afternoon, good morning. I am so excited to have you joining me for the next 2 days for the Powerhouse Brand Challenge. I'm so pumped up. And, we've got people from all over the country, East Coast, West Coast, North, South, up in Canada, down in the Southern US, and everywhere in between. This is going to be a very impactful 2 days. Because I'm literally going to be sharing everything I've done to build a multi-million-dollar brand and exactly how you can do it too. And, the one thing I want to get across before we get into the meat and potatoes here is this is going to be interactive. So this is not just me talking for 4 hours over the next 2 days and just sharing PowerPoints. We're actually going to get shit done, which is the main thing. Because I was actually just in Kansas with Robbie behind the camera last week. We had some great barbecue, by the way. But I told the audience, I'm like, listen, I've literally given you everything I've done. But the fact is 80% of you won't do anything with it. So I was begging them, please be that 20% and take action with what you've learned and actually do it. So I'm going to be asking you to share. I'm going to be asking you to comment in the chat. I'm going to be bringing you on video to walk through your work and your homework, because we have all sorts of things to complete together today. But this is going to be very much interactive, because that's how I can help get you results. I'm going to give you the framework. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. You're going to do the work, and then you're going to come on, and I'm going to actually help you implement with it. That's the best way to do this type of stuff. Oh, and then Robbie just says real quick, when you are coming on live with your video, if you are on an iPhone, you actually have to download an app. So what's going to happen is I'm going to say, hey, if you want to come on and share your work, put share in the chat. You're going to type share in, and if you're selected to come on, it's just going to prompt you if you're on your phone to download what's called StreamYard, the app, and that's going to allow you to pop on, which is why being on a laptop is the very best way to do this thing. But if you are on an iPhone, just a heads up, if you're Android like me, even though everybody makes fun of me for being on Android, you pop on, no problem. All right, cool. So without further ado, let's pop in. We got a ton of people on here on everywhere, all over the place. So just do me a favor. I see Adrian. He's tuning in from London, England. Just drop in the chat for me. Let me know where everybody's tuning in from. We got people from all over the place. But Adrian, London, you might hold the record for today. So I'm on delay here with the chat. So drop that in there. I'm always excited to see. Oh, we got Kansas City. Pat, I was just there. Ravi and I were at Joe's having some barbecue. That was a great spot. We have to go back. We got Tampa, we got Toronto, Montreal, British Columbia, California, Monterey, Missouri. Oh yeah. Hey. We got. This is going really fast now. Greenbelt, Quebec, Newmarket, LA, Montreal, Canada, Toronto. Awesome. Yeah, we got Kincardine. There we go, Melissa. Kincardine has a pipe band championship. Hamilton, we got all over the place. This is awesome. We got a really good group. So I hope you are ready to actually get some work done. So you should have at this point a pen, some paper to take notes on, and then I've actually got a workbook that we're going to go through together. It's an Excel. Fong, hey Fong, how's it going? Got Virginia, all over. Beautiful. All right. So let's start the process here, because honestly, building a brand has totally changed my life. If I look over the past 5 years and I think of the most impactful thing I've ever done, it's build a brand. Life-changing. And I don't just throw those words around lightly, literally life-changing, because I focus on building a brand. But it never was always that way. When I started out, I was what I called an invisible expert. So, I was good at what I did. I was actually a real estate agent, so I was selling houses. I was good at what I did. I knew my stuff. But outside of my small group of clients, like nobody knew who I was. Like I was irrelevant. I was fighting obscurity. And that was a really tough place to be in, because, you always feel like you're chasing customers. It wasn't a lot of fun. So I made the decision to build a brand, and the best thing I ever did. So let's pull this up here, Robbie. All right. So I didn't have a brand. This is what my life looked like when I didn't have a brand. And just pop in the chat too if this is something that you resonate with. Robbie, we're going to have to change this up here. Okay. So let me know if this sounds familiar to you. I didn't have a brand. I felt invisible, right? I couldn't figure out why other people got attention. People wanted to do business with them. They acted like a magnet, and I felt like I was talking about stuff. I worked so hard, but I was totally invisible. I call it Casper the Friendly Expert. All right. Nobody cared about my opinion. So I see here, Paul, you're still working on brand, 100%. Mo, 100%, right? I've been there. Nobody cared about my opinion. So back when I was selling houses as a real estate agent, I got really geeky into the numbers of the market, but nobody cared, right? I knew all this stuff, but nobody cared. I never had enough leads. One of the number one killers of businesses, not having enough leads. So you're fighting scarcity. Like you got to get over to abundance, but you're in that scarcity mindset all the time. And I don't know a single business where they thrive and grow with not enough leads. You have to have a surplus, an overflow. You have to be oversubscribed with leads. And that's how you get enough momentum going to carry your business forward. But it was always a challenge finding leads for me. Like I worked so hard to get those leads and get those prospects. It was so hard. And then I ended up chasing customers. So this probably sounds familiar, but you're calling and calling and calling. Nobody's going to pick up your phone call. You're leaving messages, you're sending texts, and people ghost you, right? So many times, somebody would want to sell their house, and I would be texting them, calling them because they inquired, and then they never got back to me. Like I was irrelevant. I was invisible. It's like I didn't even exist. But that's what happens when you don't have a brand. I certainly didn't have a brand back then. And it was really hard selling at premium prices, because if you're invisible, your value, your perceived value in the marketplace is really, really low. And it's like anything. Here, Robbie, change over to the iPad for a second. So this is how the market really works. Everybody's heard of the 80-20 rule, right? So 20% get all the results. It's called the Pareto principle. In real life, the 80-20 rule sounds really good, but in real life, it's like 95-5. So what happens is in any industry, 5% make all the money, and then 95% duke it out for the scraps. That's real life. And what happens is if you don't have a brand, if you're not in that 5%, you're duking it out and competing based on price with everybody else. And that's why it's so hard to charge premium prices, because you don't have that brand, the foundation to support you charging those premium prices. Now, somebody wants to work with me. If somebody wants to work with me one-on-one, like we're talking 6 figures, right? That's what my brand's done for me now, right? And even with the conferences we run and everything, we charge premium prices because we can do that because we've built the brand. But before, man, I remember selling houses. Oh, well, so-and-so said they would do it cheaper. And when you're Casper the Friendly Expert, that's a challenge. It doesn't matter if you're a consultant, if you're a personal trainer, if you're a sales, whatever it is, if you don't have that brand, you're invisible. And then, and this is so true. I felt like I wasn't living up to my full potential. This might resonate with you. I was selling houses. I had worked at it for years. I eventually got to a point where I was making decent money. But there was that feeling inside my heart and my gut that just told me every single day I wasn't living up to what I could do. I wasn't living up to my full potential. And it ate at me inside. And, after a couple of years, it was that gnawing feeling, right? When you know something deep down in your core, and it was like, oh, I know I can be so much more. I know I have it. I just wasn't doing what I needed to do to live up to that potential. Now, totally different situation, but I had that feeling, and it was for a couple of years, and it just ate at me every single day. And then my income fluctuated, so you got feast and famine, right? So you make a lot of money, and then all the money disappears, and then you've got nothing. Then you have to rebuild it again. You have these arcs and these waves of income because you don't have a brand that's consistently attracting people. And then I was always grinding. I worked so hard. Like, selling houses, I worked so hard. But at the end of the day, I felt like I had nothing left to show for it. It sucked. It really, really sucked because I didn't have a brand. And I felt like my industry's best kept secret. And I don't know about you, but you might feel the same way. Like, so much, you can do so much good for your clients, right? You can do it. You're the expert. You have the experience. You are the best person to help people. But if you can't get in front of people, if they don't want to listen to you, what good is it, right? It's because you don't have a brand. I was there, right? Now people actually pay me to come out and speak, and they actually want to hear what I have to say because I've built that brand. And my dreams felt impossible. I remember when my son was born, I had that instant urge. I was holding him for the first time. I had this instant urge to be better, but I didn't have a brand yet. So my big dreams felt like they were a million miles away. Now, it's in 5 years, like I said, totally life-changing. And now a lot of my dreams have come true, or they're almost coming true, because I've got big dreams, because my brand has helped me do that. So like I said, if you're starting, if anything, these 10 points, if any one of those things rings true, I feel you because I was there, and I know intimately well what it's like to grind, to struggle, to feel like you're invisible, to feel like you could be so much more, because I was there. I get it. But then I made that one decision. I decided to build a brand. And that's what we're walking through today. The 7 steps I took to build $1 million brand and how you can do it in any single industry. So now, Robbie, can you make that a little bit bigger? Let me show you what my brand has done. Just to show you what's possible in a short period of time, what it's done. Hey, Robbie, I want the pictures up there. This is my conference, right? We put thousands of people in to my conference every single year. It's insane, right? This is me on stage. Like, people actually pay me to talk on stage and share my message now. It's crazy. It still boggles my mind, right? I get to hang out with guys like A-Rod. I look 5 years ago when I was grinding it out, I never would have imagined in a million years I would be on stage with the people I'm on stage with. It's crazy. Right? I got to meet Kevin O'Leary, and we're going to talk tomorrow. I'm really going to focus on partnerships and how we can leverage brands, borrow authority for other people. We got a lot of foundational work to do today. That's coming up tomorrow. But Kevin O'Leary, I remember I was at the start of COVID, and I was in my, that's Darcy right there. She's my beautiful fiance. She was my girlfriend back then. And, the lockdowns had just started, and I turned to her. We were watching Shark Tank, and Kevin was just grinding a guy on the valuation of his business. And I turned to her and I said, listen, I'm going to have Kevin O'Leary speak at a conference. And sure enough, we made it happen. And that was like a dream come true, because that was my first taste of what a brand can really do for you. So I got to hang out with Kevin, which was pretty cool. And then, Grant, obviously he's a beast in the space. That's somebody who I had been watching for years. Robert Herjavec, I really enjoyed Robert Herjavec. Super nice guy. Like, you see him on TV, he comes across as that super nice guy. Absolutely the same in real life. He was fantastic. But then we do these big events, but we also do these smaller workshops. So, we've run these 100-person workshops. We've run 500-person workshops, 300-person workshops. It doesn't matter what it is. We've done the whole gambit. And, there's benefits to running big events. There's benefits to running small events. It all depends on what you need to get out of it. But I wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff without building a brand. My brand came first. All the sizzle, all the fire, all the celebrities came after. But I needed to build my brand first. That is the foundation of everything. And this is why I'm so passionate about this, because your brand is the foundation of all of your future growth. Hands down, it definitely is. So today the plan is to cover the foundationals. We're going to do a lot of really important work. And tomorrow, we're going to focus on some key executional items. Okay? Because when you have a brand, customers chase you. We get inbound inquiries now at my company. So I've got my sales team on the other side of this wall. People call us every single day wanting to do business with us because of my brand. You compare that to how it used to be. I had to chase people. Nobody would pick up my phone call. Now people badger us wanting to do business with me. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. You have an abundance of leads. My company has an issue right now. We get too many leads, which is just as dangerous as having not enough. But we get too many leads. It's a challenge for us to handle all of them. Very, very different than 5 years ago. Very different problem. I got to raise my prices. And you can raise your prices too when you have a brand, because now you can charge that premium because you're operating in that 5%. You're not duking it out with that 95%. You're the cream of the crop because you have a brand. Because the fact is, most people will not build a brand because they're too focused. They don't see the vision. They don't understand the impact of it. They think they can just do business and not have a brand. It is 100% true. You have to focus on your brand first. You get speaking interviews. Like I said, I was just in Kansas on Thursday. We got flown down. We got to eat some really good. We had ribs. Robbie had the smoked chicken. I had the brisket. It was really, really good. Got to speak there. We're speaking at another event coming up. You know, people pay me to show up and speak. It's insane. And the same thing will happen to you if you build a brand. I never imagined this, 5 years ago. But if you put in the work and build a brand now, the same thing will happen for you. People want to interview me, whether it's podcasts, whether it's media on television, right? It's all about attraction marketing. So now when you have a brand, you can leverage that brand and do different marketing initiatives. I'm going to be covering that tomorrow on how you can convert that brand into paying customers. I actually have real life numbers and examples, conversion rates I'm going to be walking you through to actually show you the impact of that. Partnerships. We get pitched every single week on partnerships. People want to partner with me because of my brand to do something because I've built the brand. So instead of chasing me, instead of me chasing them and being like, hey, like, you want to partner? It's flipped the other way, completely flipped the other way. And now people pitch me every single week on wanting to partner up with stuff. The growth, it's like a hockey stick. If I go back 5 years ago before I had a brand and I compare it to now, it's that hockey stick exponential growth. Insane. Job requests. So right now, if you're having a challenge finding people, every single week, people will DM us, they'll email us, they'll send us emails wanting to work for my organization. But that's because I have a brand and people see that and they like it and they want to be a part of it. And then, like I said, the hockey stick growth and your dreams start coming true. I never in a million years thought I would be on stage with A-Rod. Never in a million years. Never. And now he signed a baseball for me too, which was pretty cool. But I never thought that was even possible, right? Back when I was selling real estate, I didn't think that was possible. That kind of dream didn't even enter my mind. It didn't even enter my mind because it just wasn't, I wasn't on that level. Now, because I have the brand, I've got a taste for what it can do. Now my dreams are way bigger. I have 100x my dreams. And now because of my brand, I can leverage that to make those things happen. So if you're like where I used to be back in the day, grinding it out, like, I understand if you're not able to have those big dreams, because it's like me, like it wasn't even possible. It didn't even enter my mind. But I promise you, if you start working on your brand now, today, like we're going to, that brand is going to do so much for you. And in a couple of years, it's going to radically change your life. Just like it did for me, radically change my life. All right. So this is your brand. Robbie, can you put that big? So this is your brand. And we have a lot of things that tie into this. And this is all the things we're touching on. We got thought leaderships, getting you on stages, partnerships, lead gen, conversions, hooks and messaging, all the funnels behind it, interviews. All of this stuff helps build up your brand and amplify it. But the truth is, over the next 4 days, we've got 4 hours, or 2 days, we've got 4 hours. This stuff is going to take a lot more work. So one thing I want you to focus on is being accountable. We got 4 hours together. I want you to focus on being accountable to yourself and actually taking action on what we cover. I'm going to give you homework and exactly what to do. I want you to promise. Actually, just put that in the chat. Like, just say, I promise to do something with it. Because I don't want you to be in that 80%. I want you to be in that 20% that actually takes action and does something with this. So, and then also tomorrow, I'm going to share some real life examples how, just leveraging hooks and messaging and how you can amplify your brand. We went from a 15% conversion rate to a 34.55% conversion rate just by tweaking the messaging. But what we have to do first is figure out the brand and build this stuff out first, have the foundation. It's like building a house. Today, we're digging the basement and framing the house. Tomorrow, we're putting on the roof and doing the wiring and doing the decorating. That's the conversion stuff we're covering tomorrow. So I want to make sure you show up tomorrow too. And then we're going to be talking about the authority flywheel. I talked about this a little bit in Kansas about leveraging your authority. That's tomorrow too. Today, we're focusing on foundational elements. All right. So right now, I want to bring on a couple people, Rabbi and Katie, just to find out why they're here and find out a little bit more about their business. So if you want to come on screen right now, just put share in the chat. Just drop share in the chat, and Katie's going to be on it. And she's going to pick a couple people to come on and share what their business is, the space you're in, the challenges you're having, and what you want to get out of today. So just drop that in the chat, put share, and we'll be able to invite you on. Okay, so Katie, can you make sure that gets done right now? And we'll bring on the first couple people. Now, just as a reminder, if you're on your iPhone, and this is going to apply all day, if you're on your iPhone, you're going to have to download an app to actually be able to come on. It's just the way the platform works. But if you're on your laptop or if you're on your Android phone, there's no issues, which is why, luckily, I still have Android. Okay. But yeah, so Katie, can we bring some people on? Okay, beautiful. So like hands down, I still remember, honestly, the first time I held my son. And I was looking down at this little baby, and it was just, and I'm sure if you have kids, you probably know what I mean, right? You're looking down at this little baby, and you're just like, I have to do so much more. I have to be so much better. And I was looking down at him, and I decided that was time to build a brand, and things really exploded. But now, literally, like on my cell phone, I'm able to text people I never even imagined having access to. I'm able just to flip them a quick text and be like, "Hey, what's up?" It's totally crazy. Okay, so Katie, we've got some people here. So let's bring on the first. I think we got Michael, right? Hey, Michael, what's up?
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, very good. Good to see you.
You too.
Awesome. So, Michael, what kind of space are you in?
So I am in the construction space.
Yeah.
I'm a general contractor. Feel all the pains that you were referring to.
Awesome. So, and then where do you primarily do your business?
We are stationed in Massachusetts.
Nice.
And we are expanding the business over to Florida. So I'm currently in Sarasota, Florida right now, but the headquarters of the business is in Massachusetts.
Beautiful. And so right now, like, what would you say is the biggest challenge in your business right now?
Leads.
Leads? Okay.
Leads.
For sure. You're in the right spot. We're going to put this, we're going to light a fire with your lead generation. I promise you, we're going to light a fire with lead gen. So no, that's awesome. So today, like what are the top 3 things you want to get out of today?
So that front end, it's the leads, and not just volume of leads, but then quality of leads, right? Because if you bring in the right leads, the quality, then the product that I'll be offering, you'll be actually be helping them and having the positive results.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, but perfect. I'm going to make sure I touch on that today and maybe go into a little bit extra detail, because that's a struggle I used to have too. So it's, yeah, 100%. Well, but Michael, thanks for sharing. I hope you're ready. We're going to do a lot of work today. Thanks for popping on.
Thank you.
All right. Let's bring on Mo. Mo, we got Gearheads, it looks like. That's your name. Oh. Mo? Oh, we're having some trouble. Okay. Well, we'll come back to Mo. Okay, cool. All right. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we've got about 4 hours of content over 2 days that we're going to be going through. We're not going to be able to get through like I'm not going to be able to hammer and go through everything in just 4 hours over 2 days. So Robbie, can you put up the lower third there? If you guys are interested in just doing a whole lot more, you can go to sethferguson.org/offer. I'm actually running a challenge, 16 hours of live instruction with me, 8 weeks, full accountability, and we're spending a full week on each component to actually build this out and make you accountable. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but if you are interested in 16 hours, 8 weeks with me directly, you can check out sethferguson.org/offer. All right, cool. So let's get going. Let's start here. So step number 1, okay, we're going to talk about your brand identity. Your brand identity is everything. This is the starting point for everything we're going to do over the next 2 days. Robbie, we don't need the slides anymore. This is everything we're going to do for the next 2 days. So what is a brand? Okay, we have to figure out what a brand is, because I never before understand or appreciate what it is. Okay, so let me break down a brand simply. It's 2 things. We got emotion.
We got Paul in the studio right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's bring Paul on. Hey, Paul, what's up? Paul's frozen. Okay. All right. Well, it looks like Paul's frozen. So let's just keep going. All right. So we got 2 things with the brand. Let me break this down. We've got emotion, how people feel when they interact with your brand. And then we've got experience. Now, this might kind of seem like hocus pocus kind of stuff, but bear with me, because I used to think the same thing. People used to talk about brand all the time. I'm like, brand doesn't matter, or, oh, that's just like fluff. No, believe me, it is very, very true. So you're going to focus on with your brand, how do people feel when they interact with your brand, and what's the experience they get when they interact with your brand. That type of connection, that means everything with your brand, okay? So when you have a brand, people are going to pay more. Okay, so there's 3 things that really happen when you build out your brand. They're going to pay more for your services. I talked about premium pricing. Let me give you a couple examples here. As what happens is strong brands, they build that emotional connection, and then this is going to lead to higher perceived value. And if the market perceives your value higher is more attractive, people will pay a whole lot more for that. You just look at here, Apple. We were just talking about Android versus Apple. Why does Apple charge so much for their products? You can build, like my Android phone, my Samsung, it does the exact same stuff pretty much. But people will go nuts and line up overnight for the next Apple release. Why? Because Apple's built a brand. That's the most powerful thing they've done. You look at Gucci, right? Darcy, my fiance, looks at purses all day long, and she collects them a little bit, to be honest, because of the brand. Why does Gucci charge so much? Why can they charge so much? Because they have a brand. People will pay more for the Gucci brand. And then we've got this guy with the last name Leatherstein, I think. He actually rips apart these purses on YouTube, and he actually reveals that there's actually a lot better purses, but people will pay more because of the brand. Look at Rolex. My son's Spider-Man watch tells time. A Rolex tells time too, but people will pay more for that brand, right? Like it's just a Rolex, a Ferrari. It gets you from point A to point B really, really fast, but it's still a car. But people will pay for the brand. Tom Ford. Whether it's buying a Tom Ford tux, a bow tie, shoes. I had to buy new shoes for this year's conference. I was looking at Tom Ford. He charges like a 10x premium on everything, but he's built that brand. Okay, so when you have a brand, people will pay more. Now, I don't know about you, but I think everybody would want to be able to charge more for what they do, because out there with lawyers. Right? There's lawyers that charge $200 an hour, and there's lawyers that charge $2,000 an hour. I would much rather be doing the same amount of work and charging the $2,000 an hour. That's what a brand does for you, right? That's the impact of a brand. Now, the second thing a brand does for you is your marketing costs will go down. So if you're tired of spending, if you're spending $1 bazillion on ads just to find one customer, and then that person ghosts you and it's frustrating, once you build a brand, your marketing cost will go down because your perceived value is a lot higher and you're more recognizable. So as soon as somebody sees your face, they're like, oh, this is the brand. This is how I feel about them. This is my experience with them. Rather than being that newcomer, that new kid on the block who's just grinding it out but not getting traction. So a couple examples for brand. So I listed some premium brands before: Gucci, Rolex, Ferrari. What about Walmart? Walmart has such a strong brand. And if somebody needs something, they're going to Walmart. Right? If they need something low cost, they know, hey, Walmart is the place I have to go. They're running ads, but their marketing costs are so low compared to the brand visibility they get and the recognition they get because they have a strong brand. Red Bull. Red Bull's built a huge brand over time, focusing on high performance, sponsorships, events, extreme sports, that type of stuff. They have such a strong brand. They run ads, but and they show up at events, but their brand presence is so much bigger than that because of their brand. Their marketing cost is a fraction of what they could be spending, but they don't have to because of the brand. And then Zara, for all the shopping stuff, my fiance will tell you, Darcy will tell you all about that. They focus on fast fashion and the in-store experience. They don't run these large marketing campaigns because they've built their brand on that emotion that somebody feels in the experience they get in the store. That's what they focus on. Third thing, market recognition and trust. Huge. So a couple examples with this, because if you have a brand, you automatically become more trusted. Automatically. So look at Visa. Do you trust Visa? Yes. 100% you do. So many people charge their Visa cards or even MasterCard every single day. Trillions of dollars go through because there's trust, because they've built that brand of trust and credibility. You look at Toyota. Everybody knows, hey, it's a Toyota. It's going to run forever. Instant trust because they built that brand. Now, just imagine if we could take people paying more, lower marketing cost, and that trust, and do the same thing for your business. That's what a brand does for you. And that's what I've been able to do for my brand, starting from scratch, literally starting from scratch. I've been able to build that brand. So that's what we're covering. So I just want to put in the chat right now, what types of brands come to mind when you think of trust and inspiration? I'm kind of curious to see what answers we got. What kind of brands come to mind when you think of like a trusted brand or inspiration or something like that? Put that in the chat. Let me know. I've always got the delay on this end as everybody filters through. So just put that in the chat. Okay? Because as we build the brand, so right now what we're going to do is we're going to start building out the brand using 3 pillars. 3 pillars. Okay? Oh, we got it. Starbucks. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we're going to build out your brand using 3 pillars. All right? The very first pillar is what I call brand heart. Brand heart. This is the emotional core of your brand, and it's rooted in your values and your purpose. This is the inner being of your brand. This is the touchy-feely, what you want somebody to feel when they interact with you. Okay? So just a couple examples here. So Nike, just do it. Right? That's inspiration. That's empowerment. That's drive for achievement. That's the feeling you get when you interact with Nike, when you see the Nike swoosh and you hear just do it. That's Nike. Or even Coca-Cola. So Coca-Cola has had a ton of different slogans. 2015, they had open happiness, right? Hey, like when you open a Coke, actually, I've got Coke Zero right here, right? When you open a Coke, open happiness. They want you to feel happy. Taste the feeling in 2016, and together taste better in 2020, right? So when we're looking at your brand, what's the heart? And write this down. So I want you to write down right now, I have three pillars. The first pillar is brand heart. How do you want somebody to feel? What's the inner essence? What's the core of your brand? What do you want them to feel? And then after that, we've got brand face. So this is a visual and verbal identity that people are going to recognize. What's the actual, what does it look like? And this talks about color, your tone, your messaging, your logo. So let me rip off a couple examples here, right? So we've got Apple. So it's sleek, it's clean, it's modern, it's cutting edge, it's trendy. That's how people feel. That's how people perceive Apple. Then you got McDonald's, right? Golden arches. Automatically somebody sees the golden arch, they know exactly what it is. That's such a strong brand. That's the visual component. That's the face. That's the face of McDonald's, the golden arch. You instantaneously know what it is. You look at Lululemon. You know, everybody sees those tight pants. They instantly know it's Lululemon. So, yeah, for many different reasons. Robbie, we might get in trouble with the Lululemon example. But 100%, right? Like everybody knows Lululemon as soon as you see those pants. All right? So what types of things does your brand have? What's the visual your brand has that people instantly know what it is? You know, with us, you know, we have a color scheme we use all the time. All the time. For our big conference, always the same color scheme, always the same font. That's how people recognize us, right? People see my face now and they equate it with my brand and what we do. The third pillar for your brand is brand touch. So this is the experience somebody has in working directly with you, all the different touch points. And what's the lasting impression somebody has when they interact with your brand, right? So you look at Tesla, you know, end-to-end, seamless for the most part. I know Elon's had some challenges, but seamless. You know, it's a luxury product and it's a luxury design and it leaves a lasting impression. Like you just know you own a Tesla. Amazon, opposite end of the spectrum. What's your experience with Amazon? One-click shopping. You want it, you search it, you click, and it's at your door the next day. You know, easy returns. You need something? I just see somebody here, Paul. I love Tesla, 100%. But Amazon, like the experience you have, the touch, rapid. You need something, you search it. If you have Amazon Prime, it's at your doorstep the next morning. Crazy, crazy. And now they're starting to deliver with drones. Like easy returns, seamless, like hassle-free. Ritz-Carlton, right? If you stay at the Ritz, it's personalized service, it's luxury. Everything is luxury at the Ritz. Everything is luxury at the Ritz. That's every time you touch that brand, luxury, personalized, right? Service. What can we do for you? So what kind of touch do you want your brand to have? Because these three things right here are the foundation of your brand. Your brand heart, the face of your brand face, and your brand touch. This is where we start building out your brand. Okay? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you 5 minutes and I'm going to give you some homework to complete right now because this is all about taking action. I don't want you just to watch this video and sit on your hands. I want you to actually do things. So we're going to do some homework and then we're going to bring some people on to share their work and we'll go through it together. Okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to take 5 minutes. Robbie's going to put on some nice music. Number one, what emotions and values does your brand inspire in people? If you already have a brand you're working on, do that. If you don't have a brand yet, start from scratch. What emotions and values does your brand inspire in people? And then number two, how does your brand look and how does it sound to the outside world? What is the perception of the outside world? How do you want it to look and sound? And then number three, What do your customers feel every time they interact with your brand? Is it like Amazon? Is it like the Ritz? Is it like Tesla? Is it like Gucci, right? How do you want them to feel every single time they interact with your brand? We got 5 minutes. Robbie, put on the music, and I'll see you back here in 5 with some finished work. right, so let's finish up what you're doing right now. I'll give you guys a couple minutes or about 30 seconds to wrap up, and then we're going to keep moving on to number 2. So if somebody wants to pop on and go through this together, just drop share in the chat. Now, just make sure you're ready to accept the invite to hop on, so we don't have a delay. So if you want to share your work and talk about your brand and what you're doing, just pop that, just write share in the chat, and then Katie's going to send out some invites to bring you on. I'm actually kind of curious to see what we have so far for the brand heart, the face, and the touch. And going through building our brand, you know, that's something that's been really influential, to be honest, with what we're doing. So, you know, in terms of our essence and the core, for our company, we really focus on a couple key things, a couple key pillars. So one of our words is boldness. We want to be bold, do things that other people are afraid to do, lead from the front. Excellence is another one. You know, we always want to strive to the highest standard possible and be excellent in everything we want to do. And then number 3 is legacy. So we want to build a legacy for our customers and their families. We want to build a legacy for my employees. We also want to build a legacy for, you know, my children and all my employees' children too, because Katie's got a bunch. So, but that's what we want to do. So that's you know, that's our brand heart and the core of it. And all the decisions that we run through and we make go through that. They go through our 3 pillars. So our brand heart, the face, and the touch. All right, so we've got some people coming on, Robbie. So let's bring them in. You guys just have to accept the invites. I think we've got a bunch that just got sent out, Katie. Beautiful. So all right, so we got Jessica here. Let's bring Jessica on. Jessica, what's up?
Hi.
Hello, hello. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. So what kind of business are you in, Jessica?
So I run an event staffing agency. So
cool.
Yeah, so we do everything from trade shows, helping people gather more leads to their brand, have an experience with their product, to private and corporate events, doing things like bartending, serving, things like that. And then I can help people put together their whole event if they like. A lot of people will ask us to do that. And we recently acquired an event space. So we host events there as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what's your big challenge right now? Like, what are you trying to solve?
I'm trying to get over the slow season because events are really, really busy in the summer, especially private events, birthdays, weddings, everything like that. And slow season, there's a lot of trade shows, but my challenge is basically getting more big brands that will only need staff versus needing the whole thing. So there's some marketing companies that will, you know, order the whole product setup and all the products and all of that. But there is a smaller niche of people who just want the staff. They want to do everything themselves. They have in-house teams and they just need that extra assistance. So just kind of getting my foot in the door more with those trade shows that happen over the winter periods. And not have a slow season.
Gotcha. Well, you know what, like building out your brand is going to be huge for that because now you're just going to attract the cream of the crop people, right? So walk me through. What did you? How did you make out with your 3 brand pillars?
Okay, so my first answer: what emotions and values does your brand inspire in people? I put, you know, a positive experience, happy, fun, exciting, connectedness to family, friends, and loved ones, connectedness to clients, quality service, reliability, excellence, superior, attention to detail, things like that. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, and one thing, because this is kind of what I've learned, with our conferences and workshops, like you're in such a powerful space because what you're selling is really experiences. That's what you're selling.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if you're running, you mentioned connection with people, you're able to help people connect on a very different level and at a heightened level through the event you're running. That's so powerful, right? That's so powerful. And so for you want to, as we go through the next few days, you want to really hone in on how you can take that essence that, hey, like we build better connections, or we help you connect with your customer or whatever is better, and filter that through everything you're doing. Because at the end of the day, that's what your company does really well. Like you build better experiences so people can connect. That's
and
awesome.
people have a hard time finding people, good people. And I seem to have a knack at finding good people and seeking out personalities. So that's kind of where I bridge the gap.
Beautiful. Yeah. And later on, we're going to be going into messaging, hooks, like conversion, all of that type of stuff. So that's going to be huge for you in terms of getting your message out there in a way that actually piques interest, and then getting that prospect get in touch with you so you can actually close them on a sale. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Thanks for sharing, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me in here. How do I get off to itself?
Oh, don't worry. Katie's going to worry about it. All right, I think we've got somebody. Who else do we have? Oh, do we have Michael again? Oh, lucky. Okay, cool. Michael, what's up?
How are you? Miss me?
Long time no see.
That's right.
All right, cool. Okay, so walk me through. Walk me through with your brand.
Yeah. So for the pillars, that what I have for the emotions and values, what I have is emotions and values. I put in as dream come true reality, which is what we provide for our customers, and the value of a positive investment is for the first pillar.
Yeah. And then for 2 and 3?
For 2 and 3, look and sound is the look and sound professional, is when they look and how it sounds, is the look and feel professional. And for 3, feel excited. And the feeling I have is that the feedback I have is that it feels expensive. So we need to break that barrier, be able to create the value, because if the value is there, then the price is not expensive.
Yeah, for sure. So with your second pillar, you said professional. I want you to focus more on getting clear on what that looks like, because professional is an umbrella term, right? I want you to focus on, what does professional mean? Is it your staff's always wearing a shirt and tie? Is it, what does your greeting when somebody comes on the phone? What's the tone of all your messaging? I want you to get more granular with it rather than just saying professional. And that's going to help you create like a checklist later on as we move through the next few days. And so you can actually gauge and track your progress with it. Okay?
Got it. Thank you.
Beautiful. You're very welcome. Okay, awesome. All right, thanks for sharing, Michael. All right. So now let's hop into, well, actually, before we do, so tomorrow, what we're going to be walking through is how you can identify your ideal customers. So I kind of, with Jessica a little bit. So tomorrow, when we get into conversion and the messaging and the marketing hooks and all the different angles, how we're going to be covering how you can take those 3 brand pillars and weave those into messages and hooks to actually hook your ideal prospect and then bring them in so you can convert them. I've got some real life examples and some stats for you on that. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. All right, now let's move to number 2. So segment number 2, step number 2, which is identifying your ideal customer. So here we're going to be building out your avatars and your messaging that's going to underpin everything about your brand. Okay. So Robbie, I just need the iPad back up. So when we're talking about what makes people do things, and this is going to tie into the marketing tomorrow too, we really have two approaches, okay? So you can either have, and this is going to be my really bad art skills, we can either have a carrot or we can have a stick. These are supposed to be like movement lines. We either have a carrot or we have a stick. Those are our two options with making somebody do something, or not making them, but just like pushing them or guiding them to take an action. With the carrot, on the one hand, the carrot's all about positive outcomes. So it's achieving something, realizing a dream, getting a benefit. On the flip side, a stick is all pain. It's what happens, what are the bad things that happen, the cost of not taking an action. So for example, a carrot could be, hey, you're going to be able to retire without any worries. A carrot could be, oh, you get an extra bonus. Oh, you get a discount on something, right? That's all the carrot stuff. Oh, we're going to give you something extra. You're going to achieve this goal. That's all carrot. That's dangling in front of you, and you're going to chase it. So if this is your prospect here, the prospect's going to chase the carrot. Now with the stick, on the other hand, a stick is penalty. It's loss. It's fear. It's all the bad negative stuff. The prospect isn't going to run towards it like they do with the carrot. They're going to run away from the stick. And speaking of events with Jessica, the one thing we've learned with events is selling tickets. It's all stick. So selling event tickets. It's all, hey, price increases. It's all, hey, limited amount. You just lost out on this thing. It's all stick. And realistically, when we're talking about humans and what drives us, generally speaking, pain in the stick is going to be more effective than with the carrot, generally speaking. So we always want to look at both angles, both sides of this when we're looking at our avatars and who we want to do business with, because this is what's going to drive somebody to do business with us and pay you money. And once we have a brand, pay you more money to do the same amount of work. So we got carrots and sticks. So motivating action is going to require us tapping into either carrot or stick or both. And what we want to do, we want to be able to tailor our messaging to speak directly to the pains or the aspirations of our target customer. That's what we have to do. And we're going to be going through a whole worksheet in just a little sec with this. So a business coach, if you're a consultant, if you work with businesses, you may say, hey, we're going to get you to consistent $10,000 months so you don't have to worry about revenue and expenses anymore. That would be a carrot. But the pain, the stick would be, hey, you're burned out. You're going to give up. Your life is going to be horrible if you don't achieve this because of all these bad things. That's the example of the stick, right? So let me know, put it in the chat if this makes sense. Just type in like makes sense, right? We got carrot and we got stick. And this is the one thing I haven't really, or I never really fully understood or appreciated the impact having a really good carrot or having a really good stick can have on an offer in your business. Back when I was selling real estate, I didn't understand that. If I could do things all over again, I would have done something very, very different. Okay. So why does this matter? Well, we're going to go into the slide, the awareness pyramid. So this is how we understand customer awareness levels, and we're going to tie it back to carrots and sticks. So we've got this awareness pyramid, and the guy who invented this was an absolute genius. His name was Eugene Schwartz, and he was a direct response marketer. He understood that different people entered at different points in their buying cycle. And I'll draw this out for you in a second. Okay. So at the bottom, we have somebody who's unaware. So this is somebody who has no idea what your product is. They have no idea they have a pain. Like they're just going about their regular day-to-day business, totally oblivious to your industry, the problems you solve, like everything you do, the greater industry in general, totally clueless. You don't want to market to unaware people, right? Because they're just so far on the bottom of the pyramid, it doesn't make sense to. But now we have people that are problem aware. So these are your prospects who know they have a problem. So going back to Jessica, right? With Jessica and the event staffing, they know they have a problem. Oh, I have an event. I just don't have people to run it. They don't know how they're going to solve the problem. They don't know how they're going to fix it, but they know they have a problem. And these people are going to respond really well to messaging and ad hooks that we're going to talk about tomorrow. Ad hooks and messaging that speak directly to the problem. So like, hey, do you have this problem? But their ears perk up because now they know like, hey, well, that's my problem. I know I have this problem. I'm looking for a solution. Okay, so that's problem aware. Now we have people that are solution aware. So they know they have a problem, but they also know that there's some type of solution out there. So again, using Jessica's example, they know that there's companies out there who will provide staffing for events, right? This is something I know intimately well because we run the largest real estate investing conference in Canada. Like we know about staffing and all the problems that come with it, Jessica. So they're aware of the solution. So now you can run different messaging and hooks talking about the solution, not just the problem. So now they're going to respond to both. Then we have product aware people. So these are people who know about your product. So they know they have a problem. They know what kind of solutions out there, and they know that you exist. So they know that, hey, I know about event staffing agencies, and Jessica actually runs a staffing agency, or that they're aware of you at some point. And then last at the very top, it's the most aware. These are people who are ready to do business with you. They just need a couple key facts or stats or just some type of minuscule information to tip them over the edge into being a paying customer. And understanding this framework, this pyramid, changed how I looked at how we marketed events and how we marketed our services, our products, our high-ticket products, our low-ticket products. And even if we just use the ads I ran as an example for this, we can gauge where people were in terms of the problem awareness. It's like, hey, like some of the ads we ran, hey, are you finding yourself chasing customers? Are you like, is opportunity passing you by? Do you feel like an invisible expert? Do you feel like, all those types of messaging? That was very problem aware, because that's where, everybody on this web class right now came in through problem aware messaging and angles. I'm covering a whole lot of that tomorrow. But when we're talking about avatars and the types of people we want to reach out to, this is crucial. Why? Because here, Robbie, I just need the iPad here. Why does this matter? Because in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to draw the ocean right here. This is the water. Everybody knows about the Titanic. We've got an iceberg. Here's the top of the iceberg, and everybody knows the underwater portion of an iceberg is way bigger than what's above the surface. Everybody knows that. Now, how does this apply to messaging and business? Well, here's the thing. The customers in your pipeline and who interact with you, who are ready to buy and do business right now, that's the top of the iceberg. That's 27% of your customers are sales ready right now. They are able and willing, if you can do a good job at buying. That leaves 73% of all of the prospects who will ever interact with your brand. 73% of them are not sales ready. They're just not. And this, like, I remember going back to selling real estate, I couldn't figure out why, somebody would inquire, but then it would take them 12 months to want to buy a house. I didn't understand this, that only let's call it a quarter of your prospects are sales ready right now. So why does this matter? If I go back to our awareness solution, like the prospects, your top prospects are in product aware and most aware. Those are the people who are ready to rock and roll. That's a quarter of your prospects in your pipeline. 3/4 of them are going to be solution aware and problem aware. And once we understand this, we have a better idea and a better handle on what types of customers we're actually looking for, what types of messaging is going to resonate. Because if I'm hitting up my market and I'm only going for the top, the most aware people who already know me, who already understand my product, and they just need a couple stats, that's going to be a very expensive way to do business because I'm only selling to a very small fraction of the marketplace. Small fraction. Even people who are product aware. Again, I'm only selling to about 25%, a quarter of my marketplace that's out there. But if we expand our messaging and who we're attracting to problem aware and solution aware people, I'm going to get lower quality leads, right? We were talking with Michael and who had a lead problem, a lead challenge. I can almost guarantee it's going to be how he messages and markets and attracts people. Because if you're able to tap into the greater market, that problem aware group and that solution aware, you can walk them through your pipeline and then make them product aware, and then make them most aware. But we have to extend our net and catch more fish. And we do that through messaging, but more importantly, understanding the prospect, right? So I hope that makes sense. Because once I figured this out, now I actually realized who I was really speaking to in the marketplace. Because before, I was just trying to go after the tip of the iceberg, and it wasn't working. It was a broken system. And here's the thing. This 73%, they're not sales ready today, but they will be in the future. And if you can bring them in your pipeline and nurture them and bring them along and introduce them to your brand, bring them into the fold, by the time this 75% of the market's ready to buy, who are they going to buy from? You. That's huge. So in terms of our marketing brain and our marketing mindset, sure, we're going to take the cherry on top here and the quarter of the marketplace who's ready to rock and roll. But the real money, the real growth and the long tail of your business is going to be built using the 73%, solution aware and problem aware people. We have to understand that's how we get people into our pipeline and we interact with them. Okay, so we've understood the framework, the pyramid of awareness. We've understood that a quarter of our audience is sales ready, but 3/4 is not sales ready. Now let's focus on the types of people we actually want to interact with. So this was an expensive lesson I learned. Now I'll give you a couple examples. So one of our products that we do is we actually do consulting for some pretty big events because people saw what I was able to do in scaling my conference and how we sell thousands and thousands of tickets and all that type of stuff. And now other events approach us and say, hey, listen, can you help me out? I'm having trouble growing my event. I'm not profitable. I'm having trouble with my event marketing. Can you help us with it? And then our team will consult with them and figure that out. Like we've had some tremendous successes. We actually took one event. They lost $50,000 last year, and we improved their profit by 20.14%. Crazy what our systems can do for events. Crazy. So, but the thing I've learned, so we've had a couple events come in our pipeline, and they were struggling because they were selling to the wrong people. And let me explain. You have to have people who have the means and the ability, to buy. So the one example I want to highlight is they ran an event. So their product was geared towards founders of startups. Okay. So there's lots of founders. There's lots of startups. Everybody's got a startup these days. But what's the one problem with startups and founders of startups? They have no money. Everybody's bootstrapping. A small percentage will raise VC capital. They'll raise money from Silicon Valley, but the vast majority are bootstrapping. So what is the impact of this? They're trying to sell this product to a plentiful audience. There's lots of people in that audience, but they can't afford the product because they've got no money. They're in the wrong position. So what we have to do is we had to flip it around and reposition and to have them target different people who actually had the means and the ability. So if you target the investors looking for the next hot startup that they can put their money in, those are the guys who are writing $1 million checks all day long, or $500,000 checks, or $300,000 checks. They have the money. So at the start, this one event, they were just targeting the wrong audience. They were going after people who had the wish, but they didn't have the means or the ability. But now if we shift it over, now we're targeting the right people. So for example, if I'm going back to my example as a real estate agent, well, I used to market to first-time home buyers, people buying their first house. There's lots of people who dream about buying their first house. This is the thing I learned about first-time home buyers. Most of them don't have any money. And so it's really hard to, and they're all mostly buying entry-level homes, and it's a stretch, especially in a hot market like I was selling in. It's a stretch. They're borrowing money from mom and dad, all this stuff just to get across the finish line. What I should have been doing was focusing on the people downsizing because they've built up equity in the house forever. They have the money. They already have a house. So now as a real estate agent, I can sell their house and have them buy another one rather than focusing on first-time home buyers where it's going to be really hard finding people with the ability and the means. There's the interest for sure, but ability and means, it means a lot. You can't sell to people who can't afford your product. So we have to have that as top of mind as we're building out our avatar. So what we want to do is target customers who have the means and the ability and the willingness to invest in terms of solving their problem. So they have to have a problem. What we want to do is we want to solve the more complicated problem. So if I have a product, I don't know what it is. We'll just make it up. Okay. Let's say I'm a business consultant. I can choose to solve a $50,000 problem for a business, or I could choose to solve a $10 million problem for a business. I'm still going in and solving problems. Both are probably going to take me the same amount of time, let's be honest. But if I solve the more expensive problem, it's going to be a lot more profitable. And I'm going to be able to charge a premium price, attract better clients. Because let me tell you, a business with a $10 million problem, they're going to have the budget to solve it. And they're going to have a lot of, they're going to be really willing to solve that issue because it's costing them $10 million. The $50,000 business, maybe you get people with money, maybe you don't, right? It depends on the revenue. But I guarantee, or almost guarantee, that the $10 million problem for a business, there's going to be a lot of money in terms of solving it, plus getting them to pay won't be an issue. So, if you're a business coach too, if you're, targeting established entrepreneurs who want to scale and they're having trouble maybe hiring people and scaling their business versus somebody who's just starting a business. And this is why when we look at products across the marketplace, an entry-level type of product, maybe you're selling a course or something for entry-level business owners, the cost for that is always going to be a lot less. Because it's entry level. A lot of people can't afford it. But then if you're running a product, so we work with one event and they scale, they work with businesses and they scale them to big numbers. That's what they do. They charge a premium for what they do because now they're dealing with already established businesses and it's already working. Now they're just putting the jet fuel on the fire and they're a rocket ship. Very different problems that they're solving. One, they're scaling, let's say, a 7-figure business into 8 figures. The other one is like, hey, let me introduce you on how to start a business. And speaking from experience, the higher end business will cause you less issues and be more of a pleasure to work with than the lower tier in the marketplace. Okay, does that make sense? Put it in the chat if that makes sense. All right, perfect. So This is what we're going to do. Let me lay out your homework for the next week. All right? Because you won't be able to do all of this today because it involves some work. But this is exactly the exact system, the exact way you're going to pinpoint your ideal customer and exactly who you have to work for. So what you're going to do, you're going to interview 10 to 20 either current customers, if you have them, or possible customers, prospects. You're going to find 10 to 20 people that are either doing business with you already or you want them to do business with you. And you're going to have a 20 to 30 minute convo with each of them. This is why you can't do this today. You're going to have to do this over the next week. And you have to do this. If you skip this, you're only hurting yourself. 10 to 20 people, current customers or potential customers, 20 to 30 minutes each. You're going to have a convo. This is what you're going to do. You're going to ask a whole bunch of open-ended questions and write these down. Write these down on your page. What's keeping you from being where you want to be? And you're asking that to your customer. Hey, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, what's keeping you from where you want to be right now? And then if you could wave a magic wand, what problem would you want to go away first? If you had a magic wand, what would you use the wand to get rid of first? What problem? And you can see where I'm going with this. And then where do you want to be in 10 years for both with your business and personally? And what's stopping you from making that happen today? What's the roadblock that's in the way of you realizing your 10-year dream today? And then if it doesn't happen, what are you going to do about it? What kind of impact? What's the cost of not making that happen? What do you give up? What's that stick that you get hit with if you don't achieve those goals? All right, so you can see what we've done here. We're identifying the big problem and the roadblocks that are facing your customers. Because once you have this data now, you can position and reframe your products and services to make sure you're dealing with the most expensive problem that they have. Because if it's the most expensive problem, either in terms of time or money, it could be both. If it's costing customer time and money, you can solve it. And they're going to be ready and willing to invest for you to solve that issue. But the key is, and if you already have a business, so Michael came on here, he already has a business. If you already have customers, go back and do this exercise anyway, because you will learn things that you have overlooked and it will help you with your messaging, especially for lead gen, like Michael was saying. So what's keeping you from being where you want to be? If you could have a magic wand, what problem would you make go away first? That's probably going to be the biggest problem that they have. Where do you want to be in 10 years and what's stopping you from making that happen today? And if it doesn't happen, what will you do then? What impact? What's the cost of not solving that problem? So you're going to do these interviews. In person is good. Zoom is fine. I just care that you get this done and get it done fast, because this stuff is gold. These answers are gold, and everything you do on the marketing angle that we talked about tomorrow is going to be based on these answers. So you're going to want to record these if possible. So if it's Zoom, hit record. If it's meeting in person, just record on your cell phone. Everybody's got the voice app now. Record these. Obviously, ask permission. And take copious notes. Copious notes. Write everything down. And especially if you have the recording, listen to each recording like 3 or 4 times. And this is what you're looking for. You are looking for commonalities, so common themes and threads that weave amongst every single interview. Because this is kind of what happens. Like if you interview 10 people, 8 of them are probably going to say similar things. If that's the case, then you have to be able to that's a huge green light. That's a huge green light saying, hey, this is what the greater market has. Let me just rip through. I just saw Katie, you put on. Sammy was asking. So the questions. What's keeping you from being where you want to be? What's keeping you from being where you want to be? If you could wave a magic wand, what problem would you make go away first? So if you had a magic wand, what problem would you make go away first? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And what's stopping you from making that happen today? What's the roadblock? And then if it doesn't happen, what will you do then? What impact will you have? Because here's the thing, Sammy. Sales is all about crossing the stream. So you got your prospect on one side of the river, over here, sad, pain. You've got a unicorn. This is a really bad unicorn. You got a unicorn and you got rainbows on this side of the river, right? My drawing's really bad. Your prospect, this is their goals. The prospect wants to get to the other side. Your product is the bridge. Your product's going to help them, or your service is going to help get them from their pain today to their goals and their aspirations tomorrow. And you and your sales process is going to hold their hand and walk them across the bridge. And we're getting to the pain. We're building what that pain looks like today. And we're also building what's the future? What does that look like for them? Because once you know this, the marketing and the advertising and the messaging and the lead gen, this is why we drown in leads, because we've tapped into exactly what our audience wants and what they need, what keeps them up at night, what gives them the cold sweats. And when they start daydreaming, what's in their mind? What do they really, really want? We've got that figured out. So in your interviews, when you're dissecting them, if you find that different people keep using the same words or the same phrases or the same way of describing problems or describing goals, write all of that shit down. Make sure it's really, really good. Write it down. Because what you're going to do is now we're going to take those words and use those same words that your audience is using, your market's using, and use them in your copy and all of your hooks. So you're going to have 4 different columns. This is your spreadsheet. You're going to have one for problem. You're going to have one for cost. You're going to have outcome or goals. And then you're going to have solution. And what you're going to do now is you're going to take all of your notes, and it's going to take some time. Like, this stuff doesn't happen overnight. You're going to take all of your notes, and you're going to create 5 to 10 problem statements your ideal avatar is facing. So you're going to look at your 10 to 20 interviews and come up with 5 to 10 problems that the majority of your audience has. So maybe if it's for investments, somebody dreams of passive income, but they have no idea where to start, right? Maybe they're grinding out at this job they hate, and they've always dreamed of launching their own business, something like that. Those are all problems, right? So now what you're going to do is, once you have your problems, you're going to have 5 to 10. You're going to go through and you're going to identify the cost of not solving or fixing those problems. So here's the thing I've learned about problems and offers and everything. Most of the costs and the pains of not fixing the problems, it comes down to 4 things. You've got health, you've got wealth, you've got status, and then you've got relationships. All problems kind of fall back to these 4 main things, right? Health, wealth, status, and relationships. So what I want you to do is, once you figure this out and put it in your spreadsheet with your problems, I want you to identify which one of these 4 it is. So if somebody wants financial freedom and they want to retire early, that would be wealth. If somebody feels like they're grinding every single day and they're just wasting their time and they don't ever get to see their family, while their relationships are suffering. And then I also want you to consider the below the surface. So on the surface, somebody may say, hey, I want financial freedom. That's wealth. But then you dig deeper and say, okay, well, like, why do you want financial freedom? Oh, well, I want to give my family opportunities I never had growing up. Okay, so that could be a little bit of status. So you can brag about being able to do that. That's also wealth, That's also relationships. And so, what happens if you don't solve this problem? Like, what happens if you keep grinding day to day in your 9 to 5 and never achieve financial freedom? Oh, well, I'm scared I'm going to miss my kids growing up. Oh, well, what happens if you miss your kids growing up? Well, my daughter's going to grow up and resent me. Oh, well, what happens then? Oh, well, like, my daughter's going to hate me and she's older, and then I'm not going to have a relationship with her. Oh, well, what impact does that have? Oh, well, like, my wife's going to, like, yeah, and then you can go deep and deep. You see how it goes, right? So you can start off with one problem, but go below the surface and keep going and going and going to get to the root of the real problem. Because when you can speak to your prospect and your audience and absolutely nail what keeps them up at night and gives them the cold sweats, you're printing money at that point. But you have to be able to nail it. And the only way you get to it is through doing these interviews. Because back when I first started, I thought I knew everything as the real estate agent guy. And I just assumed and said, oh, okay, well, like, this is the type of person I'm working with. This is what their pains are, whatever. I never did this audience like market data stuff, and it hurt me. I know it sounds like a pain in the butt to do, but you have to do this. You have to do this because you are literally going to the person you want to work with and say, tell me everything about what you want and what you don't want. And now you can create your product, your messaging, your marketing, everything around exactly what the market's looking for. That's why I was able to scale my conference to thousands and thousands of people. Because I found out and I understood exactly what people wanted, and I gave them that. If I didn't do that, I would not be as successful as I am today. Right? So I see Nicole here. Katie says that how do we get people to interview with us? Great idea, or great question. What you want to do is you want to offer them, like, you can say like a Starbucks gift card, or you can say, hey, listen, I really appreciate your time. I want to give you a Best Buy gift certificate, Amazon gift certificate. Like, give them something for their time, right? Don't be cheap, because they're literally giving you gold. You can make millions of dollars off of this. Like, you talk with 10 people, 20 people. Like, you talk with 10 or 20 people, that is millions of dollars right there, guaranteed. So give them something in return for their time. So you'd be like, hey, you call them up, or you text them, get them on the phone. Hey, John, it's Seth. Hey, listen, I'm just wondering, can I speak with you for about 20 minutes just on Zoom this week? I want to get a better understanding of exactly how I can help you better in terms of like your business and what you're trying to do. Because I'm just trying to do good with our clients and with you specifically. Would you mind doing that? Oh yeah, sure. Okay, perfect. And just so John, I really appreciate your time. I'll make sure like I look after you. Perfect. Give them a little thank you card, write them a handwritten thank you note. Beautiful. But you have to get this gold. This is the foundation of everything when it comes to good marketing, lead gen, conversions, and making a lot of money. Okay, so we've gone through health, wealth, status, relationships. We've identified the cost, and it could be monetary cost, it could be time cost, and what you'll find is the more advanced your customer is, the more it becomes time rather than money, because time is money. So your more advanced customer is going to want to compress timelines rather than save more money. They will pay more money, get the time back. Okay. So we got problem. We want 5 to 10 statements. Cost. Identify the cost of each one of those problems. Right. So you've got problem, whatever it is, the cost of not fixing it. Now we're going to figure out what's the outcome that your prospect has. So it's going to be the inverse, the opposite of the cost. So let me just write this clear. So goals. I have 4-year-old handwriting, I know. So you've got the problem. This is what happens if I don't solve the problem. Now, the goal, what they want to achieve, is going to be the opposite of the problem. So maybe the problem is they're grinding every day, they're not making any money. Their goal could be, financial independence and passive income, right? See how those are opposites. Or their problem is, hey, I'm not generating enough leads for my company. But the goal is going to be, hey, I have an abundance of leads. I have an automated tap of leads whenever I want to turn it on. That's the goal. And what we want to do is, again, we go back to the audience interviews and we use the words your audience and your avatars are using. So if your audience describes something in a certain way and multiple people do, write it down that way. Because what happens is if we work in whatever business you're working in, you're going to use like that jargon, those buzzwords that we internally use, but your audience isn't using those words, right? Like, with us, with our real estate investments, we use terms like IRR, hurdles, waterfalls. The really sophisticated people use that, but at the end of the day, most people just want to have investments that pay them money every month. Those are the words that they use. They want mailbox checks. So if our messaging and all of our advertising talked about IRRs and waterfalls, we lose everybody because we're not communicating on the level our audiences or our market's communicating at, right? So this is why we have to do this. Now, solution. This is where your company, your product, your service comes in. So we've understood the problems, we've understood the costs, we've understood the goals. Now we have to talk about solution. So how can you help your prospect overcome the problem and avoid the painful costs of not fixing the problem and help them achieve their goals? What does that solution look like? What makes your company special? What advantages do you have in the marketplace that nobody else has? What special expertise do you bring to the table? And you should be able to clearly articulate your solution in an easy to understand sentence. So it sounds like this: we help so-and-so achieve this by this. Okay, so we got a question. So in the problem, it's not how the people can go that deep through the problems. People are not honest with themselves. How do you expect? Fazad. We have sales, and understanding this is learning how to become a better asker of questions. The best salespeople I've ever been around ask really, really good questions. And it comes down to tone. So we have, I can hear the sales guys through the wall right now, right? Like our team, somebody has a problem. We ask them questions. We ask the same questions. Hey, what's your number one challenge right now you're facing with whatever it is? Oh, okay. Well, just kind of curious, what kind of impact is it having on your business right now? Oh, well, it's doing this. Oh, well, what do you mean? Tell me more. And they keep talking. Okay, gotcha. Well, if you don't fix this, this sounds like a pretty serious issue. If we don't get this turned around, what happens? Oh, well, this and this is this. Gotcha. Well, how would that impact you personally? Boom, 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 boom. What would that do to the business? What would happen to the business if that happens? This is how we ask questions, right? And the best way to ask a question, especially if you want to go deep, is be like, hey, listen, do you mind if I ask you a personal question? Yeah, sure. Okay, go ahead. And then you can ask your question. And then people are going to be a lot more open to it. But that's how you're having a real conversation. What happens, and this is why most salespeople fail, they stay too surface level. They ask the question, hey, what's your number one challenge? Oh, it's this. Okay, great. Well, here's my product. Before we ever understand what we're even talking about. That's the subject for tomorrow, right? So you can see now, following this chart, we've got 5 to 10 problems, 5 to 10 costs, 5 to 10 goals, and 5 to 10 solutions and ways that you can help your customer. This is $1 million marketing blueprint right here, because now you can go to the market with exactly what people are looking for. So what we're going to do is, Robbie, I'm going to share my screen, but with a different window. So everybody right now, if you're on the webinar, if you're on the watch page, that you got when you signed up, there's a button right below this video now, and it's going to take you to a worksheet. Okay, so what you want to do, once you get into this worksheet, go File, either make a copy, or you can download it. Don't send me a request to have edit access, right? What you do is you go File, make a copy, or you can download it. Because in this worksheet, we're going to start ripping through this right now. I've laid out a whole bunch of stuff that I want you to fill in once you've got your interviews done. So I've given you a worksheet here for your interview. So you're going to say, and you can copy this tab as you need it. So who you interview, their name, the date, if you recorded it. You're going to write down all the problems you come up with that they mentioned, the cost, the desired outcomes, and how you think you can help those. Or you can even ask your customer or your prospect, well, what kind of solutions are you looking for? Because if most people are looking for a specific solution, that's a hint.
So is this document being shared?
Yeah, so everybody who registered for this webinar, so if you're watching on YouTube, Instagram, you got to go to sethferguson.org/brand. So Ravi, maybe you can put that up. So if you're watching on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, go to https://sethferguson.org/brand. You can register, and then you're going to get a link for our web class room. And right below the video on the web class, there's a button that says Avatar Worksheet. You click that, and that's going to open this up. Below this, you're going to write down your top 5 power words or phrases. These are the words that they keep using over and over and over again. And then what keeps them up at night? What gives them the cold sweats? And then what's their ultimate dream? What's the big pinnacle dream that they want to achieve? And you complete this for every single interview that you do. So that's on the second tab. On the first tab, this is where you can go through. So are you going after business to consumer? Or is it business to business, or is it a hybrid? Age range, gender, location. And as you go through your audience interviews, you're going to start changing these things up and tweaking based on the data you collect. Because if we're not using data, it's worthless. We have to go on data. So demographics, goals and dreams, pains and challenges, purchasing behavior, personality and traits, values, media and comms, and avatar hypothesis. So what we're going to do right now is, if you have this, right? If you don't, sethferguson.org/brand, you can register, and then you can get access when you click the join link. I want us to focus for the next 5 minutes on coming up with a hypothesis, and then you're going to go out and do your interviews and see whether or not your hypothesis was right, and you're going to change it. So think hypothesis. What do you think the primary struggle or your top 3 struggles for your people are? What's their primary goal? What's the top 3 goals? What motivates them? And why would they pay? What would make them pay to solve all of those challenges and to achieve those goals? Okay? So that's what we're going to do now. So open that up. Also, I want you guys to complete your sentence. We help blank. So we help investors achieve financial independence by, providing cash flow producing investments. We help gym owners, we help gym owners, sell their business by installing our blueprint and implementing staff, whatever it is for your business. You want to complete this out. Okay? So fill in the avatar hypothesis. We'll have 5 minutes, and then complete your solution sentence. Then we'll come back, and we're getting into the good stuff. Okay? So Ravi, maybe we can throw on the music, and in 5 minutes we'll come back. All right. Robbie's got the beats, the tunes today. I like it. All right, cool. So at this point, we should have started on our, let me just add this here for you guys. So we should have started this with our avatar hypothesis, and we should have our avatar statement done. So we help so-and-so achieve this through this type of action. So I saw one, Ed, we help small businesses achieve their investment goals by getting them a small business loan. Perfect. All right, great. Or it's like, hey, we help founders achieve their dream of owning their own business by getting them the funding they need to get started. My Siri doesn't know what the song is. There we go, Jessica. All right. So your homework tonight and this week and next week is to complete everything in terms of that spreadsheet. Both your interviews, your 10 to 20 people, and as well as all your avatar information, because now you're armed with the stats and the knowledge you need to go out and actually make this stuff, right? We've got aspiring authors. That's awesome, right? That's what we need to go into the marketplace. And tomorrow, when we go through hooks and funnels and branding and messaging and conversion, so that's tomorrow's session. We have a foundation to work with. Okay, but make sure you do those audience interviews. All right, and then also tomorrow we're covering speaking gigs, podcasts, thought leadership. All of this stuff ties together. All right, let's move to segment number 3. Okay, which is building out your thought leadership platform. Now, in the next 8 weeks, when I'm working, I'm running every single week, we're covering a new topic. So it's like 16 hours plus with me building out. So for example, Robbie, can you put up the lower third? For example, 1 week, we are covering everything to do with building a platform. So with me, I launched my podcast. Then my podcast went into a TV show. Then my TV show went into a conference, right? This is all stuff I've done. We're going to build out your platform in 1 week, and you're actually going to get shit done. Then the next week, we're going to leverage that and then build it on it and build on it. So instead of just having everything compressed into 2 hours each day for 2 days, 4 hours total, you're giving yourself 8 weeks, about 2-3 hours every single week, focused just on that. And that allows me to go a whole lot deeper, because there's only so much we can put into 2 or 4 hours. So if you're interested in that, sethferguson.org/offer. And that's what we're running for the next 8 weeks. It's you and me and a whole lot of work because we're going to get stuff done. Okay, let's move on to segment 3, which is building out your thought leadership platform. And there are 3 Ds I want to, Robbie, you can take that away. So there are 3 Ds that I want to highlight that I've really uncovered or understood as I'm building out thought leadership, right? Because there are thought leaders in every industry. There are people that everybody looks up to. That's the people with the brand. Everybody pays attention to them. How do we find out what's working, and how do we become somebody like that? Because like I mentioned before, people will pay me to show up and speak on their stage. That never used to be the case. So there's 3 specific things we're going to do for thought leadership. So I call it the 3 Ds. So, oh yeah, here, let me pull up the iPad. We're missing the iPad. Here we go. iPad's back up and running. Okay. 3 Ds of thought leadership. So the first one we're going to do is dissect. Dissect. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look for commonalities and trends amongst the top 5 thought leaders in your space. So if you run trucking, who are the top 5 trucking operator business growth people who are in your space, who put content out into the universe? If you're a business person, who are the top 5 people? For example, it would probably be Alex Hermosi, Patrick Bet-David, Grant Cardone, you name it, right? You want to find those top 5 people. If you're in the wellness space, who are the top 5 thought leaders in the wellness space? Who are they? Identify them. And what you're going to do, you're going to start dissecting everything those 5 people do. And you can tell we did audience research in the past section. Now we're doing thought leader research. Because before we do anything, we need to know what's proven and working in the marketplace. So it could be podcasters, influencers, YouTubers, people who run conferences like me, people who have a platform, who have built an audience. We're going to dissect what they're doing. So we're going to analyze their strategies. So number 1, what platforms do they use? Are they big on YouTube? Are they big on Instagram? Are they big on LinkedIn? Do they do podcasts? Do they do live events? And even though these bigger people will be on all of them, there's generally one platform that is their thing. It's their thing and they dominate it. So find out what that is and write it down. How frequently do they publish? Do they publish every day? Do they publish once a week? Once a month? Like what do they publish? What format do they use? Do they do videos? Do they do articles? Do they do interviews? And what topics do they cover? So obviously within that umbrella, so business growth, for example, or marketing, but there's all types of like content that they talk about. What are the different subjects that they cover? And then what's their tone? Are they really formal? Are they casual? Are they kind of funny? What's the flavor of what they're dishing out? So we're analyzing their strategies. So right now, I want you to think for like 20 seconds and put it in the chat. Who are the top thought leaders in your space, in your industry? Who are the top people in your industry for thought leadership? Put that in the chat for me. I'm kind of curious. In my industry, I definitely know who they are. Well, we're in a couple different industries now, but we know who they are. And actually, lots of them want to speak at my conference. So it works out. Okay? So put that in the chat. Who are the top thought leaders in your space? What do they have in common? Because what we've basically done is we've set ourselves up to reverse engineer what's working. Because I promise you, if the top 5 people in your space, if the top 5 people in your space are putting out a whole lot of people or a whole lot of content, there's going to be similarities between all 5. Oh, Myron, there you go. Right? Tony. So what does Myron do? What does Tony do? And Tony and Myron, I can tell you right now, they do some things the same. Now, that's the hint. Because if you look at your top 5 and all 5 people do the same thing, but then they do their bit of different thing, but it's a lot of it's the same, that's a hint that you should probably be doing the same thing because it's working. These guys have tested it. In terms of content, Tony Robbins has tested so much. Same with Myron. Direct response marketer, he's tested everything. If he's doing content in a certain way, it means it works for him. And if Tony does content in a certain way, it means it works for him. Now, if there's a connecting thread, if there's commonality amongst them all, take notice. Once you do that, you want to differentiate. You want to find your unfair advantage. So first is you want to dissect. Then you want to differentiate. So you want to find what your unique spin or your unique angle is by finding the missing piece. And a great way to do this is to go to everybody's YouTube channel. You want to go to everybody's YouTube channel and look in the comment section. And in the comment section, you're going to find people asking questions. And they're going to say, hey, well, you never said this, or hey, tell me about this. Because what happens is the bigger you get, so a channel with like 1 million YouTube followers, they're going to go really broad. But that's going to leave the niches or the niches and the small and the cracks. There's cracks that are going to appear that the broad brand's not going to touch on. But now that's an opening for you and your brand. So the comment section on YouTube is a great way to find openings and angles that you can exploit that the bigger channel isn't touching on. So look in the comments for what's not being answered, and then you want to define your unfair advantage. So what personal strengths do you have? What skills do you have? What experiences do you have that nobody else can replicate? So for instance, maybe you're a former sports athlete and now you're in business coaching. That's a cool combination that not a lot of people have. So that's your insight. You're going to bring high performance you're from the field to the boardroom, something like that. That's your angle. I just made that up on the spot. And then what you want to do is you want to create your own sub-niche or subcategory. So you're going to take the missing angle that you found in the comments that the big guys are missing. You're going to take your unfair advantage, the uniqueness that you bring that nobody else can, and you combine these two together to create your own subcategory or sub-niche. And it's really, really hard to rip off because Yeah, somebody can rip off like the missing angle, but they can't rip off what makes you unique, what makes you you. And when you combine the two, that's really, really powerful. So right now, I want us to think about, well, what's the missed angle in your industry? Think about it and write it down. What are the big players missing? What are they missing in your industry? And then what's your unfair advantage that you can bring to the market? What's the missed angle? What's everybody missing? And then what's your unfair advantage? This is going to take some research. Okay, but write those two down. And then once you figure that out, now you have to distribute. So step number 3, distribute. We have to get your stuff out there. And this is why, I go on stages, I do podcast interviews, I do these live streams. This is why we pump out so much stuff. So what you want to do is you want to be able to deliver your message to the audience, to the market. And you've already done your market research. So now you know exactly what the market's looking for, the pains, the goals, the challenges, and you're going to wrap all of your content around that. Like I remember we launched the podcast and we did, 450 episodes. It was crazy. So what you want to do with your platform to distribute your messaging, you want to find a platform that aligns with both your interests and then your audience's habits. So if your audience likes listening to podcasts, great, you're probably doing a podcast. If your audience likes reading articles, you're probably writing articles. If your audience likes LinkedIn and they hang out there sharing the 5 steps to exiting or whatever, they're hanging out on LinkedIn. But it's really important to find something that resonates with you too. Because in any niche, any industry, yeah, for sure, there's people who make a killing writing stuff. There's people who make a killing podcasting. It's a big market if you're choosing a big enough market. So what you want to do with distributions, you want to find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, either 3 or 5 content pillars that you can build all of your content around. Now, in the 8 weeks, when you start working with me for the 8 weeks, and we're doing this every single week, 1 whole week is just focused on this, right? Because it's hard to do in 2 hours. But we're just focusing on building out 1 platform for you and making sure it's dialed in. So, it could be, if somebody's in real estate, it could be 1 pillar could be market trends. The other one could be investment strategies. The other one could be, taking it behind the scenes on my latest deal. Those could be the 3 content pillars. And everything you do focuses on one of those 3. Right? So what I want you to start thinking about, now we have to do your audience interviews first, but I want you to start thinking about your content pillars and the different platforms and how you can use those to distribute your message. Okay? So Katie, let's, if you want to share your content pillar ideas and your platform ideas, just put share in the chat. And we can bring some people on. Because tomorrow, what we're going to be doing, we're covering a lot of stuff tomorrow. I'm covering how to land speaking gigs, interviews, how to build strategic partnerships, how to leverage somebody else's brand and make it work for you. So just like I did with Kevin O'Leary, how to use your thought leadership platform to attract high quality clients and prospects, not low quality people, but high quality prospects, right? That's what it's all about. So tomorrow we've got an action-packed day. So we're covering speaking and stages, partnerships, networks, marketing campaigns that convert, and then scaling your brand with systems and processes. All right. So I've mentioned this a couple times. So this is what we're going to do over the next 8 weeks, okay? Because we can only do so much in 4 hours. So we've got 16 hours plus of me working with you to build this stuff out. So we've got live instruction with me. This is the first time we've ever offered this, to do this, and I want to make sure it gets done right. This is why I'm doing it. You're not going to be dealing with somebody else. Robbie, we don't need that. We're going to do weekly calls, weekly accountability coaching calls with you to make sure you're actually implementing. Because I get it, it's hard. Lots of this stuff, you have to do some work. We're going to hold you accountable so it actually gets done. Because I shared at the top of this session that 80% won't do anything. We're going to make sure you do it because it's to your benefit. I'm going to give you 12 months of membership to my private community where you have access to other coaching calls, content, resources, all built around marketing, your brand, leveraging opportunities, creating offers, hooks, all that type of stuff, all my own stuff. You're going to get 12 months of that. Access to my brand and marketing templates. So I've built quite the library and collection of exactly what we do. We've tested this stuff. I have real stats on the 10 things we tried and the one thing that worked. Also the private testing campaigns and results. So all the split tests we've run, the headlines we've run, why had some headlines work, why ones that we thought would work, why they failed. I'm giving you access to that, plus planners, trackers, templates. And then we also give you a networking group because you need a community to keep you accountable. And so you can build connections with other people doing the exact same thing. So that's what we're doing over the next 8 weeks. So if you're serious about building your brand, we're covering this stuff tomorrow. But if you're serious about actually putting this into action and building a brand, let me help you do it because I'm going to be with you every single step of the way to make sure it gets done. And we're going to be following the proven system because I've made the mistakes doing this stuff. I want you to avoid making mistakes and actually getting it done faster. So the 8 weeks, this is what we're covering. Building your powerhouse brand, the hooks, copy, messaging. That's 1 week just on that. Leveraging other people's brands and creating partnerships. 1 week just on that. Podcasting, interviews, media. 1 week. Focus solely on that. Building out your funnels and your marketing and making sure it converts. 1 week just on that. Events. This is something I know intimately well. Webinars, workshops, stages. 1 week just on that. Email marketing, engagement strategies, and then becoming a customer magnet, putting it all together. That's the 8 weeks, 16 plus hours live with me, walking you through this stuff. This is the execution. Today we talked about theory. We got you going. Doing this is where you execute. So what we're doing is we're doing a special. We have never done this before. You are the first group, and Katie will back me up. This is the last time we're doing this because this is the first time getting it off the ground, and then it's going to look very different the next time we run this. But I'm hands-on with every single part of this process for this time only, right? It's not some other coach coming on to help you out. It's actually me because I want to make sure we're doing the right thing and we're getting the right questions, and I can do lots of Q&A with you. Lots of Q&A. So $19.97. One-time payment, just go to sethferguson.org/offer. We're making this available today and tomorrow, and then it's no longer available because I want to keep the group small so I can actually work with you guys and get stuff done. It doesn't work if we have 500 people. It's just too big. It's too unwieldy. That's going to be the next time we run this to a larger audience, and then we'll have like 500,000 people in at one time, and then we have different coaches. But if you want to work with me, this is the time to do it. We've got a question, Razul. How your workshop differentiates with the sales workshop? I'm not sure if I fully understand your question, but sales is one thing, but right now we're focusing on brand and attraction and marketing. So if I go back to the 16 weeks, this is all sales, but we're not covering objections. Like that's a totally different topic for another day. Before you even get to the point of having a customer objection, you have to generate the customer, the lead, the prospect. This is what we're doing over the 16 hours. We're building out your brand. So now you can attract those higher quality prospects who actually want to do business with you. Now, I shared before how my life has changed over the past 5 years because I focused on building a brand. I remember the day I launched my podcast. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm going to share a story tomorrow about Chris Gray, who's a very well-known real estate investor in Australia, and how I got him on my podcast before I even launched the podcast. It blew my mind, right? But in this, rather than us glossing over in 20 minutes, me giving you the meat and potatoes, I can actually help you and implement. And if you have questions, you can post in the community being like, hey, listen, I'm stuck here. What do you think? And I personally will go through and help you out. That's what we're doing this one time only. And then we're packaging this up for general distributions. Okay, so go to sethferguson.org/offer. Get this in because we are taking this down tomorrow after our session because this is our launch. I'm making sure we do this the right way. And then we're going to package it for mass consumption. And it's going to be less interactive, but we're be able to run more people through. But this time, we're going to be making this super ultra interactive just so I can make sure we nail every single part of this. Okay, so go to sethferguson.org/offer. We got another question. How long on average does it take to build a brand before starting with sales and clearing customers' objections? Result, man, we got to build your brand first. And nothing happens overnight. I've been working on my brand for the past 5 years, and I will continue to work on it for the next 45 years until I croak. It's never going to stop. But I just keep leveling up. But Rizul, right now, the one thing you have to focus on is getting the foundation set. It's all about foundation building. So we got to get your interviews done. We got to get the 3 Ds of thought leadership done. You can do that this week. So that way, next week when you start, we actually have data we're working on. This is why I set this up this way. We're doing the workshop for the next 2 days. We're getting the foundation done, all the gold you need. Because if you don't do the stuff now and you start in the 8 weeks, you're starting from behind the 8 ball. So it actually works out to do this, right? You want to get this stuff done now so that way you're ready in the 8 weeks. But yeah, result, like with the sales, you have to have your brand. You have to have that figured out. Then we have to build the hooks and the messaging. We're covering that tomorrow, but also during the 8 weeks, we have 1 week dedicated specifically to messaging and hooks. Then we have to build out the funnels and how to convert those people. That's when we start introducing some sales processes in there. And then once we figure that out, now we're on the phone with customers. We're talking with customers. And we can make an instantaneous change to your business. Okay? But that's all processes. Beautiful. All right, we got Paul trying to get some customers for Ontario and Alberta. I love it. Awesome. All right, so Katie, can you put the link in there? So sethferguson.org/offer. Click on that right now. Save your spot. We've only got a small group set up for this session. This is my personal session that I'm running. And then that disappears. That goes back into the Disney Vault after this session. All right. Yeah. So Rizul, we start next week. So it's quick. We want to get rocking and rolling because 2025 is going to be here before you know it. And then it's 2025. It's the season of brand because you look at everybody's talking about brand. It's so important. I've learned certainly the past 5 years the importance of having a brand and everything it's done for me. You know, like I've been able to share the stage with some incredible people. I've had some incredible partnerships. I attract customers. We have a whole bunch of good issues with too many leads at this point, but those are all the things that come with having a solid brand. And that's why I want to help you. I want to help you do the exact same thing. So sethferguson.org/offer. Take advantage of that. And what we'll do is I'll open up to a little bit of Q&A. Katie already answered Rizul's question. And then we got to jet because we are now 20 minutes of overtime. But I'm happy to do so. All right, cool. So we have a couple more questions coming in. Yeah, so the day we're starting next week, we're starting on Monday. That's when the community opens up, and that's when we start work. And we're going to work hard for 8 weeks. It's 2 hours plus a week with me directly. And I'm actually excited for this because I'm able to geek out and focus on one specific topic. Because like for the next 2 days, we're covering 7 different topics in 4 hours, or I guess 4.5 hours now because we're a little bit over. I like to geek out and get really into the nitty gritty and the meat and potatoes and focus on the execution. That's what it's focused on. Okay. Beautiful. Oh, we got another call. Okay, beautiful. All right, so I hope this was helpful. I enjoyed doing this. We actually had a really good crowd for this. So check out the offer, sethferguson.org/offer. And I will see you guys tomorrow for day 2. We're covering hooks, messaging, funnels, thought leadership, getting on stages, building out your platforms, and crushing it, becoming a client magnet, a lead magnet, a prospect magnet. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.